Hey YouTube, Rob here. Just going to do a quick review of the Sanrenmu 710. Well, this is the B4 710 because it's black. And before you guys start hating and going, oh my god, child labor, Chinese crappy knives, blah blah blah, think about this. Microtech, Benchmade, and Kershaw, well, they do make a good bit of knives in America. Their Chinese knives, the ones they outsource to be made in China, are made by the same company as this knife right here, Sanrenmu. So unless you're going to start hating on Benchmade, Microtech, and Kershaw, I suggest you stop being an idiot about this knife. Now, let's start off with some basic stuff. Let me get a ruler out real quick. Sorry about this, should have been prepared. Let's use the Leatherman Wave. Closed. It is just under 4 inches. Sorry, horrible. Blade length 2 6/8 of an inch, and completely open is 6 3/8. That's for the specs of the knife. And I'm just going to say that yes, I do have this sharp enough to shave with in its current state. Let's start with the downsides first, as I do genuinely think this is a good knife, and I want to end on some strong points. But first, I'm going to say I only spent $6.25 on this, and $4.25 for shipping. $10 50-cent knife altogether, and it has, well, I'll get to the good parts after. But to start with the bad, let's talk about the pocket clip. Now, the pocket clip is nice, don't get me wrong, I like it. It's a smooth surface on a smooth surface, so it has to have high tension for it to hold on to your pants, but I mean, you can't even lift it with your finger. It's just ridiculously tight. It's hard to get on your pants, but you won't lose it. I'm going to consider the pocket clip as a slight downside, though. You could bend it, and that would solve it, but I'm talking about factory, straight from the factory. A few tweaks that you can make on this knife very simply. It can be a perfect little knife. Another thing, pivot. This pivot screw right there is, my camera will focus. There we go. It's a little messy that I just finished cleaning it up and stuff. But pivot screw, it loosens up. Now this knife, the way it's made, you have to have the tension right here very precise within a very small movement, or else it'll either be too stiff or it won't be perfectly centered. A little Loctite fixes this issue, so it's not a huge deal for me, but it is something to look at. Let's see, is there anything else for the downside? It didn't come super sharp, and the bevel on the blade itself wasn't perfectly even on both sides, but then again, my $160 Benchmade Griptilian custom with the S30V had the exact same issue. It's just a thing. Factory knives bevels are not going to be perfect every time. Most of the times they're not, actually. It does come dry with no lubricant, so I use a little bit of Ballistol and Butter Smooth. I can't really flick it out, I'm at a weird angle right here. If I pull it to the side, that's with the pivot screw Loctited at the perfect tolerances to keep this centered and as loose as possible, which is buttery smooth, by the way. I guess we can move on to the good stuff now. Oh, wait, one more bad thing. I sharpen at a 30-degree inclusive angle for all knives that aren't going to be used for chopping or anything heavy duty. And that comes to the issue, as you can see there on the thumb stud maybe. There's a little bit of black missing there. That's just because I hit it a few times while sharpening. The stone actually hits this, and you have to hold it kind of funny to sharpen with the stones. This is too high on too thin of a knife to sharpen at 30 degrees inclusive. You won't clear that, so it gets kind of funny, which is actually the reason why I'm missing a little bit of metal, or of the black coating right there opposed to the rest of the blade, because I messed up while I was holding it kind of funny. But that's only if you like sharpening at 30 degrees inclusive. Now we can move on to the good stuff. The good stuff is 8CR13 MOV steel. Sharpens up beautifully. Got a nice hair-popping edge on that very quickly. Easy to strop up, keep it maintained. I haven't used the crap out of this knife, so I'm not going to be able to tell you how well it'll hold up to cutting open a whole bunch of cardboard boxes, but come on. If you're cutting up stuff, you come home every day and you strop it, it'll keep it at a hair-popping edge. I mean, all my knives are like that. The crappiest steels, every time I use them at the end of the day, I strop them up, good as new. Never have to touch them up on the actual sharpening stones. That's one thing about that. It's good, and the tolerances on this are amazing. If you can get it right, perfect blade centering. It's pretty much like a fixed blade when it locks up. It's hard to see if it'll show. Well, the lock up on it's perfect. That's what I'm trying to say. I did take this apart and give it a good cleaning, and it's kind of weird how they have the washers in here. Oh, there's copper touching the blade, copper washers touching the blade, and on the outside, on this side, the outside is some kind of black material. It's not metal, some kind of plastic. And then on this side, the outside one touching the handle scale is brass, which I thought to be odd. They're using 3 different types of washers, and there's 4 of them in total. It is easy to take apart and put back together. And oh wait, I forgot a downside to it. If you like to fondle your knives, play with them a lot, the lock bar right there, it'll focus, it's kind of sharp. They didn't round it off like they did here and there. It's just kind of, it's not sharp, but it's not rounded. It can make your thumb a little sore if you play with your knife all day after you get it at first. It feels extremely sturdy and great. If you don't like heavy knives, I wouldn't suggest this, because this is all metal construction. Thick handle, or not really super thick, but you get the point. It's not a light knife, and honestly, that doesn't bother me. Let's see, what else can I talk about? What else do we have with this thing? Pocket clip only, tip down, right side only. Lanyard hole, which is actually a good thing. I'm probably going to end up putting a lanyard on it, because normally I don't like super small knives like this that you can't really get a perfect grip on at the end there. And it's not too bad. I generally just like bigger knives, though. This is a really nice knife, don't get me wrong. Effectiveness of the jimping. Not super effective. I'm going to say that. It's actually only slightly better than your thumb on the metal. It's not going to help you at all, really. So I'm going to have to knock the jimping on this knife, but you can fix that if you know how. Reference, nothing fancy. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about it. I haven't had the coating wear off on me yet. I haven't used it a ton, but it seems to be staying nice and sharp. Just drop it up at the end of the day. It's good construction. It's nice and tough. For $6.25, this knife, I have honestly paid $60 for knives with lesser quality than this. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want one, unless they don't like Chinese knives for whatever reason. I mean, yes, stuff in America is way better, but, I mean, come on. not like you're doing your country a dishonest or a disservice by buying a Chinese-made knife. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This is one of my first videos, so if you have any suggestions or tips or anything you'd like to see in my videos, or any criticisms if I'm being an idiot or or whatever, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.